How to get cinematic results with minimal effort. Hello everybody, my name is Mark Bagnoli, I'm a cinematographer, and today we're going to look at the commercial where we see the guy from Breaking Bad. And this is a big Hollywood type production, everything looks good, very professional. But I'm going to show you how you can create a similar look with just one few tweaks in your workflow. So this is the first shot we're looking at, and now we're in a private jet. A private jet scene you can do today very cheap. There are a lot of airplanes or models here where you can rent, easy thing to do. But how do we create a look in there? They're going here for big sunset look. That means, as you can see outside, we actually have very cool tones outside. This is probably a green screen plane. I'm going to explain to you how you can do it without a green screen. I would always recommend this because this is annoying to do. So the thing you would do first is I'm going to show you the wide shot. So this is the wide shot of the plane, of the private jet. And the one thing you do is always, where do you put the sun? When you're in a plane scene, you're in the sky, so the sun can only come from one direction. So you set for your storyline, okay, the sun comes from here. Then you set the tone. Is this high noon? Is it sunset? So they choose the sunset look, which is always really cool for a plane scene because now you get a little bit of color contrast. And the only thing you have to do is to blast several lights from the outside. It depends on where the plane is, what location you are, how strong the light should be. But think about 600Ds, 1200Ds with a Fresnel, and you don't even need a lot of them. Sometimes one is enough to the most realistic feeling, but then you need a bigger source. You just blast this warm light on 3000 Kelvin or something like this into the scenery, and that's how you get a sunset look. Now the problem is, in a plane, normally, where do I get the fill light? Use a clever technique here. It really depends on the plane. Normally, you would put Astera lights or something into location to make it a bit more reasonable to where's the fill light coming from, because you always want to create a reality into your scene. What is the lighting reality? And the lighting reality is most of the time in planes, like I said before, okay, there are Asteras, there's the sun outside, and this is what creates the light. But what they've done here is they choose to have a hole on the upper side of the image, so they can put a light up here and just blast it into the scenery, so that we have overall a cool fill that creates color contrast, because when you have this big warm light from the side, you also want to fill in the shadows with a little bit of cool tones, which creates and makes the image more three-dimensional. As you can also see, normally I'm always for turn ARRI practical on, but these practicals are off for the scenery because they would distract the scene. They're probably really bright, but where do you look in the image first here? We look at him, because he is the brightest part in the image. The skill of a cinematographer is always create a reality where the audience looking where you want them to look at. And with clever replacing their biggest key lights, your focus is going to be on him because he's just slightly brighter than everyone else. So now the problem with planes are these windows. Normally what I would do, which is much more easy, you would put a lot of ultra bounces just across the whole plane, just outside all ultra bounces, and then you have something like sky panels on the ground and just bouncing in, giving a little bit of fill. So you can just overexpose the windows a little bit so that it just looks like, oh, you can't handle the dynamic range. It will still look good with a little bit of diffusion. It also looks very natural, and this you would only do if you have the money and the time for VFX, because you have to 3D track everything in there, and just it's annoying to do. So if you don't have the money for it, don't even try it. Just go for overexposed windows. Then this is the next shot I want to talk about, and this is just this cool late night diner scene. And for the scene, you don't need one single light. Most of the time you only light with practicals. You set your camera on the right position. I want to shoot this frame. So this is where I would put my camera. That's my final plane. Now I can move the tables. I can move the people. So I create again my new reality, because or even in the next shot, this table doesn't have to be on its place. In the next shot, you can put it there, or you can put it there in the background. It doesn't matter, because the audience doesn't have the feeling from, okay, where is the table, how big is the room. So you can always just put the things everywhere you like to make every shot as good as possible. A lot of people will now tell you, no, these are continuity errors. No one cares. It's just a continuity error for most people that really see things is when someone is wearing a blue jacket, then the camera turns, now he has a yellow jacket. But they there are scenarios where this is happening and people are not noticing it, that he wore a different jacket. So don't think too much about continuity. If you can find it yourself on the shoot, your audience who doesn't care about filmmaking, I believe me, won't find it as well. So how do you build a scene with practicals? I always try to find a nice balance. So here it's easy. Every table has a practical, so we have an overall coverage of this area. Then I want that the people look at this table, so I have to create a bit of an edge light for them, but I don't want to edge light them really, so I put practicals here in the background so that the wall behind them is much brighter than everything else in the scenery. So my view is on this corner. Then, so I don't want the scene to be just warm, I place here, okay, this is not something I can place, that has to be here. I put here cooler tones. I put this lamp a little bit cooler so that we have a cooler vignette across the scene and focus our view even more on this brighter, warmer scene in the center. So overall, this whole look here is just clever camera pacing and knowing which color temperatures to use. Also, though, you don't have to put exposure on everyone. Think about it, it's 2026. With DaVinci Resolve, i1 is good at color grading. You can put this on a smaller exposure, this on a brighter exposure, and then make them darker and boost them with a power window just a little bit so that we even more see only the center of the image. So now when we get closer to the scene, a bit of things change. Now it's not only this lamp that's lighting them. You can clearly see, everyone else has now a cooler tone, but the lamp is still warm. What I like to do is set the white balance of the key light then on 4200 or something like this, a little bit on the middle way, so that we cool up the skins of the people a little bit when we stay on 5500 or 4000 or 4500, 4900. You can be a little bit in between. That's the way you have to move so that everyone else is a little bit cooler, but we still keep this warm lamp light here. And this light setup is pretty simple as well. It's a bit hard, as you can tell, so maybe they just put a butterfly, an 8x8, and bounced a light to it. Could be everything. It could also be just a lantern light, Aputure lantern with a big dome that everyone gets a nice three-dimensional light, but it's just a tag. As you can still see, the lamp is the brightest part of the image, and overall the skins of everyone are very dark. They're not on your typical exposure. And I think that's important. When you want to feel that the scene is dark, also light it dark, make it feel dark. Don't just put the background darker, the scene is overall moody so that you have the concept of being dark, but to actually let the image being in the lower area of your waveform helps to motivate your mood a lot more than you think. This is also a nice shot because now we have here, we shoot in the corner of the room, we have nice leading lines that help us focus our view on him. And here again, a little bit of set design. We have this warmer wooden yellowish walls, and then we put him in some more gray cool tones, so we have a little bit of color contrast. He pops a lot more than if he would wear now a black or yellow or white jacket. So always think about color contrast, not only with lights. Not only, okay, here a cold lamp, here a warm lamp. No. Your outfits, walls, everything that builds the look is included. The lighting of the scenario is also pretty simple. When you're in a room and you don't have windows, you don't have doors, you have nothing, you light from the top, because you always, like I said before, you have to create a light reality. And here the light reality of the room is, okay, the light is coming from up there. When we're going in for a close-up, you still can see the light is coming from top. And when we had a wide shot and would see a door where light is coming from, maybe you can put a directional light from the same light, but you always try to light the scene as it look like. And here it's clear, this nice top light. It could be just daylight. This is a scenery where they built the room like this, but probably there is just the fusion up there and they blast light from up, or it's an installation like I said before. Sometimes you just have to be lucky with locations or choose your location that's already looking good, just works with the feeling of that. You always have to think about when you're shooting outside on Las Vegas or something like that. Everything looks good without adding any light, and you can work with any location like that. You only have to find the location that has this attributes that make the shot look good. So if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate subscription from you. My name is Marco Bagnoli and see you next time.